Well, welcome to our next episode of Leverage to Build Wealth, where our special guest is Brian Shields. This man is incredible. He's charismatic, he's fun, he's a big, lovable fuzzball, and he's a uber successful loan officer in Phoenix. You're in Phoenix, right?
Yep. Just outside of Phoenix, actually, east side, Gilbert, Arizona.
Gilbert. Oh God, I love Gilbert. Gilbert, Arizona. He's an incredible family man, proud husband, and uh, let's go ahead and turn it to you. Give us a little bit about your story. Everyone's story is important and
Yeah.
diverse. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to the industry. And then we're going to talk about, no, we'll go from there. We'll see where it takes us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Tom. I'm really excited to be on this. Been a big fan of yours. I've been following each other even before we decided to join the same company, which is awesome. So yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, Washington. Had older brothers, three older brothers, and an older sister, but I didn't really grow up in the same house. They were all much older, between 14 and almost 20 years older. So I was kind of an only child, and with that, my mom had moved on, and she had married my stepdad, Larry. Anyway, with that situation, and my mom had kind of moved on with her life, I got a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's really sad," but I got the opportunity to be raised by some other families. So I got actually ended up with like because my mom, they going through some tough financial times and whatever. She would ask maybe like a family friend or whatever, "Hey, can you guys take Brian in? We're kind of on hard times. We grew up pretty poor." Um, so for me, I got to have like four dad figures, four
Oh,
different
wow.
mom figures, and I really got to pick and choose what I really liked from everyone that had a parental role in my life. And what I love about that is it allowed me to create my own person through diversity. So learning from a family that grew up on a farm, they're really farm based, very everything was homemade. They didn't eat out a lot. Another family that was very successful in business, that traveled a lot. So anyway, I got to create myself through all these different influences that had a lot of great things and maybe some things that I didn't align with. And so with all of that, one of the families that raised me was a wrestling coach, and he actually took me in and got me into wrestling. So I started wrestling pretty much year round from the time I was 8 years old on, and did it through all the way through middle school, through high school, and then I started wrestling. I started wrestling at Portland State, but before I even made the wrestling team there, or before the wrestling season started, I did a freestyle competition at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and I got picked up by Boise State. So I got to wrestle for Boise State for about a year and a half. The year and a half is because my high school sweetheart at the time gave me the phone call that, yeah, it's baby coming. So went back to Vancouver, started selling car stereos at 21. I got it, moved back home, got a job as a manager at Car Stereo City. We bought a house, got married, had a baby, all within like 6 months at 21 years old. So yeah, so that was pretty fun. Yeah, but it was a good time. In about 2005, I really started um, wanting a more brighter future for myself. Instead of selling car stereos and cell phones all the time. And a friend of mine suggested getting into mortgage lending. And so February 5th of 2002, or sorry, 2005, got into mortgage brokering in Vancouver, Washington,
Wow.
and did it all the way through till about 2010. Walked away for 6 years and then got back into it in August of 2016. Just kind of tiptoed back in,
Yeah.
did it as a side hustle, and then I went in full boat in 2019 and haven't looked back ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I was listening to Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels series audio books, and he was a big wrestler in Boise,
Oh
and,
yeah, yeah.
he would talk about how he didn't like school. He just went because he had a scholarship, so that's how he was able to wrestle, and but yeah, I could definitely see you being a wrestler. I hate to be the one to wrestle against you, like, oh man, let's get this done over quick.
Well, I tried to do this slogan, breaking bones for home loans, but it really didn't seem to take off. No one wanted to take me up on that one, so I had to get a little more creative. So yeah, hugging bros for home loans. I don't know. We'll come up with something creative.
That's awesome. One of my old colleagues, Tyler Hancock of Hancock, he has does
Love Tyler.
Hancock.
Tyler's one of my boys.
Yeah, we go back and forth. I'm always sending him wrestling videos. I see that pop up on my Facebook, and so
Yeah. Yeah,
right,
Tyler's a rad guy. I really like Tyler a lot.
yeah, he's cool. We sat beside each other at a prior company one time, and we'd take our ping pong breaks as often as we could, and have a blast. He's a good man.
I
But
love
back
that.
to you, end of the
Yeah.
hour. Well, let's see here. You are incredibly dynamic on social. You have such a variety of different kind of engaging posts. And what I love about, seeing and watching this engagement before getting to work with each other, and you're barely, it's been a few months with the AXEN brand of Nexa Mortgage. And my first time being on a Zoom meeting with, it was actually, I think this last Friday.
Yeah.
And but I've seen you for quite some time on Facebook. And what really stood out to me and resonated with me is your mindset. You have a very positive mindset, and you're always showing your personality, and you're sharing wise things, and you're sharing funny things, and I'm seeing the success of that you're having with your clients, and the stories that go with that. And that resonates with me because I'm a very personality driven person and very value based. You know, I base my decisions on principles. Not trends of the day per
Yep.
se. That doesn't mean I don't like trends. Trends are fun, but I base my long term decisions off of values and people who I want to be around. Because it goes back to that adage, show me your friends, and I'll show you where your future is. And so you really stood out to me on the topic of social marketing and the power of your personal brand. Uh, with that being said, what keeps you going? What is your kind of like, I don't know, how do you go about doing what you're doing? You're so prolific online. I don't know how you keep up with it. Can you fill us in?
I wish there was something really, really cool and like mind blowing about it, but I have this mindset and I have this way I live my life of once I get up and out of bed, everything else that comes to me is a gift. And it's a gift of the clients calling, the interactions they get to have with people, the ability to be able to go onto a social media platform and share something silly or real or whatever about myself that touches the heart of somebody on the East Coast that follows me or is a friend of mine that is able to. I've had somebody, this one's a tough one. He actually called me. He's a friend of mine, and he goes, Brian, I sent him a video, just, hey buddy, how are you? Miss you, hope you're doing well, just from my cell phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't know how bad I needed that today. I wasn't sure how I was going to walk down the stairs and face my family. And like, so to be able to have that gift and be able to relate and connect with people and bring a sense of relatability to people, that for me it is extremely rewarding, and I love it. And I thrive off of it, and I don't get on my social and like, look what I did for so and so today, or look at this charity I donated money for. I
Yeah.
don't do those things to get affirmations or accolades. I do those things because it fills my heart with joy and it fills my family with happiness. And I have three young men living under my roof, 22, 9, and 4, and I have an example to set. And so my mindset with all of that is I can be very successful in business. I can close a lot of loans. I've done it, and I've had ridiculous checks. And it's nice, it's great. And I'm not saying, but the true, like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, is when you get to truly make a difference in somebody's life. And so when I'm training my loan officers and where I'm talking to people that are maybe wanting to get into a sport that I've done or something like that before, I just tell them, I'm like, you get to be a part of a chapter. of somebody's life. They're allowing you and they're saying, help me become a part, or help me and become a part of this chapter of my life. So like when we get these first time home buyers, or somebody maybe has some credit challenges or something like that, and they say, here's my trust, here's all my information, here's my trust, please help me get a home. Like that's a huge gift. And to be able
Yes.
to be a chapter in their life and be able to be a part of that, I'll work day and night to try and find a way. And and I think that's what separates us is my wife and I, we both don't come from much. And so, and we haven't had much for very long. And so what I can say is we don't forget where we come from. Gary Vee has this thing he says, it's like, keep your feet grounded, but always keep reaching for the clouds. And so
I
we're
love
very,
that.
we're very humble. We're so appreciative. But there's no ceiling. There's no cap to what we get to do and how we get to do it. And yeah, is mortgage fun to share and talk about on social media platforms? Not really, but it's rewarding. And when you're able to relate and connect with those people, or people that might be on the fence, or somebody that, gosh, honey, that we applied with ABC Bank and that dude won't get back to us. What do we do? Well, this guy on social media that we've been following, Brian and his wife Jeanette, like they just shared how they helped somebody get a home with no money down. Like
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Should we give them a call? Like, so it's just those things, like, and I won't ramble on too much, but I say one of the, you hear these things and they kind of stick with you and they stick right to your heart. And I heard Denzel Washington say this on a podcast once. And he said, you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You
Yes.
can't take all the crap and all the stuff with you. And it's just stuff, man. It's bonuses. And yeah, it's nice. But the memories you make and the hearts you touch, and it's not about when you die having people, people are like, oh, when I pass away, I want to have people show up to my funeral. That's when I pass away, I want people to show up to my funeral, stand in line and be able to share or want to share how I've impacted their life. So that is my goal. That is my purpose. When I get out of bed, I'm driven to do that. I have a family to raise. I have boys to turn into good young men with good morals and good manners and good work ethic. And I have clients to serve because they have many, many options. They can walk into any Starbucks and there's 5 mortgage lenders in there having coffee on their laptops, and they chose me. And that's an honor. And that's how I serve them.
I love that. There's a difference between someone who's passionate and has purpose than someone who's um, going to work. You
Yeah.
know, one thing that I think is a whole lot more powerful is passion and purpose over discipline. And I'll explain this because I know it's definitely counter to the status quo. Now don't get me wrong, I love Jocko and the importance of absolute accountability and responsibility. And I understand the place for discipline. I mean, I'm an Army veteran, I served 6 years. I definitely understand discipline. Um, and also being a dad of 6, discipline is definitely there. But discipline is different. Discipline doesn't drive you. Discipline is a system.
Yeah.
Passion and purpose drive you, right? And when you have passion and purpose, um, that beats an alarm clock. That pushes through, that gives you the why, the flavor of why you're doing something, not just the strength to do it. And that's where discipline really comes in. Discipline is the strength through repetition and endurance and muscle memory to be able to get through hard times in because you're so regimented. But that's different than the passion and purpose of why you're doing it. And you are purpose and passion driven. And I love that because then the mechanics of the work and the mechanics of the mundane don't matter. They disappear, you
Yeah.
know. And so I love that,
Think
so it's
about it. If you, let's say you're building a house, but your house and you're building is who you are, right?
yeah.
So the foundation that you lay, that's your self-love, that's your self-care. And then with that, you're going to have your standards and you're going to have your discipline. And then maybe your other 2 pillars are your passion and your purpose. And as
Yes.
long as that foundation set, your self-love and your self-care,
Yes.
looking at you're being kind to yourself, instead of saying, oh God, I'm a fat ass, or I'm doing this, or I did, like instead of saying, hey, you know what? I let myself go a little bit. but I'm going to dedicate the next 90 days to myself to be 30 years old again, or 25 years old again, or
Mm.
whatever. So loving on yourself. And then this is my standard, this is my discipline, this over here, this is my passion, this is my purpose. And if those are all aligned and set
Yeah.
on a solid foundation, everything else you build on top of that is bulletproof. It's
Yes.
level 5 hurricane proof. It's
Yeah.
10 what the not epicenter, but the earthquakes, like
Yes. Yes.
it's
Yeah.
it's money, and so you got to do those things, and that's super important. And that those are hard talks to have sometimes. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very difficult on myself, but I've learned to encourage myself, not discourage myself, and not to be hard on myself. And I think that's something a lot of people deal with, but I know a lot of men deal with it. And I think it's just recently that men are learning to be like, I I can talk about this. Like
Yeah.
I can share this with. I have a safe place. And so I think those are the kind of things that allow me to connect with people because I share things. I share transparency. I share some goofy things, but I share some hard things. It's and so those are things that allow me to connect with people, and what a gift. I mean, I'm so blessed to have that gift to be able to connect and be relatable.
I love this wonderful moment we're having on this discussion on vulnerability. And this is important. It has nothing to do with the topic, but this is real. This is real important. And, to add value with this, whenever I was in the military, I was a chaplain assistant. I had two roles. I was a bodyguard for a chaplain, and I would help with the counseling of soldiers. And one of the things um, that I cherished was the special things I'd done were always behind closed doors. And it was um, taking the weapon away from a suicidal soldier. It's the talking to someone who looks just like you, just the picture ideal soldier who, is kicking in doors, taking names, kicking ass, and talking to them when they're at their wits' end, literally, with major PTSD
Yeah.
and understanding, and with real authenticity to be able to hug a guy who's 250, 300 pounds of solid muscle, a walking refrigerator, crying like a 7-year old,
Yeah.
and going through the most intense, horrible scars over and over again, to understand how important it is to love yourself, to accept yourself, to forgive yourself, and
Yeah.
and to place things in proper context. And so I like how you shared that, and uh, I I'm a big advocate for veterans in this aspect, but also first responders, because they deal with so much trauma all the time. And there's this not stimulus, stigma,
Stigma. Yeah.
that the alpha males are only supposed to act a certain way. But they don't realize it's like, man, you eat at your foundation when you don't have that self love, like you properly put in context. It's like when you understand that is important, and your family needs, like, we get so much involved with our role as the man and the provider, and all these things that we're supposed to do. And you realize that your children, and you talked about your 22-year-old, your 9, your 4, and I also saw on your poster your 25-year-old daughter.
25.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
uh when you have a family, they need you at your best. That includes your mental best, your
Yeah.
emotional best. It's not just the providing and, hey, I've got a roof over your head and food in your belly. It's like, no, it's being the example. And one thing that is in our household is apologies from mom and dad. When I
Mhm.
talk to my kids, I'm like, no, dad is still learning. I remember seeing this thing that says, we never realized that we watched our parents grow to learn how to be a parent as they watched us grow to be an adult. It's like, you know, yeah, there's books on how to be a parent, but who watches and reads those? Seriously,
Right.
it's like we learn. And I tell my kids, I'm like, hey, fell forward, take
Yeah.
chances. Uh, don't be a perfectionist, because then you won't take shots.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
be an expert, strive to be excellent, but not at the expense of not trying, and be okay with failing forward, be
Mhm.
okay with uh, taking chances, and quite frankly, we celebrate failure in our home uh, more than many, not because we seek failure. We don't seek failure. I mean, that's stupid, but because we seek stretching and moving forward and seeing where your new boundaries are and then stretching those, and reaching after that. And so I love the premise of what you shared, but um thank you for sharing that, because I think that's an important too, because there's gonna be a lot of people, when they see our mugshots, they're like, oh man, you get these two bald titans, on it. But then when you see, it's like, no, this is important because it does change lives. And to that point where you mentioned your friend, who said, I don't know how I'm gonna walk down and talk to my family. That's real. And a loan closing of a new client, uh, as much as that's important, and it has its proper place, it's
Mhm.
different because we're all connected. And when we truly understand that, and we seek to bring our best to our communities, our friends, strangers,
Yeah,
we truly are better as a person. Thank you,
of
for
course, of
sharing.
course. Well, if you look at it like closing loans, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. That's what I get up. That's what I'm supposed to do is close loans and help people. But when you get to connect with people, you get to do some of these things like you're teaching your family examples through failure. You're teaching them growth opportunities through times of failure, through times where, I had this moment that is my visual analogy for tough times is, I did jujitsu, mixed martial arts, Hawaiian Kempo. I did it for like 13 years after the kids were born. And I was in it's called a smoker where you fight several times over a weekend. You might fight 6, 7 times in the same day.
Oh
And
wow.
I got clipped and I got put down and on one knee and one hand. And it felt like I was down there for about 3 minutes, but it was all of maybe 2 seconds. But I literally could see myself speaking to myself of like, now what? Now what? Are you going to stay down? Are you going to go down? Are you going to wait for him to come hit you so you can call it quits? Or are you going to stand up, adjust your stance, knuckle up, guard your grill? That was my
Yeah.
saying is knuckle up, guard your grill. And that was the moment where I'm like, I'm not quitting. That's the easy way out. And I'm not going to learn anything from that. And if this is my last time doing this and I go out knowing I quit on myself, that's not an option. And so with that, I got up, won that fight, I think I took third in that tournament for the weekend.
Nice.
And it's those moments of learning to overcome life's punches, life's attempts to knock you out. And it's okay to get knocked down, but it's not okay to not get back up. And so I think
Yeah.
that's part of my work ethic and that's part of my mindset. And I'm ingraining that into my boys, my kids. The youngest one, Jackson, is nonverbal autistic, so he's a little bit
Gotcha.
more work. So we connect with him on a different way.
Yes.
But the other boys, they're Brody's 22. He's a great young man. He actually took his first jujitsu class yesterday, getting back into it,
Oh wow.
because
All
he
right.
loved it so much when he was a kid. And so I just say like the lessons that life has taught all of us. It's just how you receive them and how you store them to be able to be used for yourself or for others at another time. It's important.
You know, uh, interesting point. Um, with your son, especially, okay, all right, I'm going to reframe this.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so you're a legitimate badass. Let's get that. It's not about patting yourself on the back. It's legit. You're a big man. You're a walking refrigerator. You know, and I sure to hell wouldn't want to, scrap with you. And I think I'm pretty self-sustaining. You know, uh, you're you conquer so many challenges that are in front of you, and you are tremendously successful. And I'm not saying this to be flattering. It's the results are there. That's the one thing we love about in the sales type environments is we keep score, and that's real. You know, when you have such a physically commanding presence, wrestling since 8 years old, and all this, this smoke session like UFC used to be when UFC was really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock, where no, you won when you went through everyone and you're last man standing, not one fight a year kind of stuff. And you hold your own. In contrasting being a father of someone so vulnerable, nonverbal, autistic, how did that change how you approach life in general? Because that's something uh, you can't prepare for.
Right.
That's something that hits you out of nowhere. That's a left hook. That's a real one. But I'm sure you adore and love your boy with everything. How has that helped you uh, shift who you are? How does that help you elevate who you have become?
That's a great question. I really like that you asked that. No one's asked me that before, and several people know they know of Jackson because we share our family on social. And people know, people that follow us know that Jackson's autistic and nonverbal. I would say the coolest thing that he's taught me is that it's up to me to adjust and adapt the way that I connect and communicate with people. I can't say, well, that's just the way I do it. I do this, or I say this, or I do that, because he's not responsive to that. So I have to be the one to mold and change and adapt to Jackson's way of understanding, learning, and connecting. And it's still to this day. I mean, he'll be 5 in April, and to this day, every day I'm learning something new with him. And I absolutely love it because it's made me a lot better dad. I got this opportunity to be a dad again. I had kids at a
Yes.
young age, and then I went without. And then, now Jeanette and I, we have Avery, who's he's my stepson, and then we have Jackson together.
Yeah.
So I got a second chance to do it, and I absolutely love it because it is given me so much more intrinsic reward and love and joy in my life. Just to know that I got this little guy that might not be able to tell me how he's feeling or tell me what he's doing, but he can come up and grab my hand and take me to where he wants to go. He can come up and climb on my lap and he grabs my finger to move to forward the movie on his little iPad. He
Mm.
grabs my finger, his dad to help him with that. So that sort of stuff to me is like I've learned so much from my nonverbal autistic 4-year-old. And how
Yes.
cool is that, right? So it's just learning a different level of being able to connect and communicate. And really, if you think about like one of life's main purposes that I think have gotten a little bit clouded or jaded since COVID is the power of connecting with people.
Yes.
It's I mean, if in a perfect world, you and I would be sitting across each other at a desk right now
Yeah.
doing this cup of coffee brewing and probably going to lunch afterwards. And now we're doing it from 1,200 miles away from each other,
Yeah.
and it's just the world that we're in now. I miss connecting with people. I love the engagement, the interaction. And I think a lot of people do as well. They just might not realize it. So
Yeah.
it's
And it's
important.
interesting. I think it's been a true polarizing impact. And, I believe that stress doesn't create people, it just magnifies what's there. It's like a
Yeah.
crack, it's the same thing, not just stress, but success, which I don't think you can have success without stress. But I think, it's the same thing when people come into um, wealth and large opportunities. It doesn't change them; it just magnifies them.
Makes you more of what you already are. Yep.
Yeah, if you're an asshole, you're just going to be a bigger one. If you're awesome, you're just going to be that much more awesome. If you're generous, you're that much more generous.
You and I are cut from the
And
same cloth, brother. I say that
yeah,
all the time. I'm like, I don't care what color you are, what religion you are, what political person you are, what sex you choose. If you're a good person, we're cool. If you're a
exactly.
butthole, we ain't cool.
Yeah,
You know.
it's like
So, Yeah.
I know that you can, resonate with this one. There are people who are force multipliers. When they walk into a room, the energy and the tone, the tempo, everything rises.
Yeah.
And there's also the opposite. Whereas people come in, you're like, damn, someone just turn down the thermometer or just get cold in here? And it's like a void, it's like a suction, a black hole.
Mhm.
And you're like, wow, you just are such a buzzkill, and it's amazing because it doesn't matter how successful, quote unquote, they are, you know, it's just like, wow, mm, you know, and
It's energy and
and
life.
yeah, and I'm at a point in my life. I'm 43, but I'm at a point in my life where like I don't want to be around people I don't want to be around. And I'm no hermit. I just choose who I want to be around with a lot more picky, and I'm realizing it's no, don't get me wrong. I'm a fighter when I need to fight, but the thing is I'm like, why? It's like my manhood isn't on the line. And I'm like, I don't want that kind of drama in my life. And it's not because I can't go toe to toe. So it's like, no, I want to be happy, and I want to be around things that are worth fighting for, not
Right.
to fight for fight's sake, and that's for back to the premise of, what our message is today about social marketing and stuff is your brand is so on point because with people, if someone didn't know you, they were a referral and they're like, hey, this guy is really good and they have nothing to go off of outside of, hey, here's a name, here's a phone number. What else do we have? We have for wise entrepreneurs, they have a social on point. If someone who doesn't know you outside of, hey, here's a good guy, here's a number, or just the name, what we're going to do, hit Google, YouTube, Facebook, and we see your reputation, like your brand goes and speaks volumes of you before you even have a conversation, before you even know this person's researching you. They're hitting you up, they're figuring out, like, you know what, I like this guy, or I don't, or man, this guy looks like, whatever, you know. That's what I love about the aspect of the social branding and the personal branding, which, I definitely want you to be able to talk to on that because that is powerful because you're in a room already
Mhm.
that you're completely unaware of. Like you have opportunities just waiting to be helped and assisted with, you're completely unaware of. They're researching you, they're checking your stuff out. You don't even know, you're just doing your thing. And then whenever they need an opportunity or they want to reach out, you're already cemented there.
Yeah.
Uh, can you give some advice for people who are new to the game or trying to recalibrate, retool? And that's one thing 2023 has done in 2022 is helped a lot of people realize, I'm getting punched in my teeth and I need to recalibrate. I know that's what it was for me. 2023 was all about recalibration, retooling, uh, figuring out how to redesign myself. What kind of advice would you give someone who is either new to the industry or veteran to the industry and they're like, you know what, I really need to recalibrate and retool, and let's go into the social branding and personal branding? Give them their expert master class as to what that is. And I know we only got 10 more minutes on this
Yeah.
particular topic, but please, the time is yours.
Okay. Yeah, well, I would say like if you're on that, if you realize this is what you got to do and you're on or somebody's brought it to your attention, like, hey, I think you should really utilize your social media some more. If you're willing to take that in, then what I would say is the old Nike slogan is just do it. Just get your content out there. One of the biggest influencers, powerful people in our industry, Eddie Perez Jr. of EPM,
Yes.
one of my favorite human beings. He time and time again, when I'm in the room with him and he's talking about social, and Eddie is very well spoken, ridiculously smart. He
Yes.
talks about this little 9-second reel that Jeanette did of us where I had like a way too small for my head leprechaun hat on, and I'm sitting in this chair and I'm like dancing like this. We're just in the office, and he loved it. So it's like, would I have posted that? Jeanette posted it. Would I have posted it? Probably not, because I looked stupid. But Jeanette posted it. Eddie, he's like, dude, that was the funniest stuff I've ever seen. He goes, that
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
this big dude, short shorts, because I'm sitting down, right? My shorts are all pulled up. You can, see that little cool crease in my lower butt cheek. Like, yeah. But it's like, it's just like, just do it. Get your stuff out there. And what I can tell you is if you are in the mortgage industry or in real estate or whatever, real estate, actually, people like it even more than mortgage because people like looking at houses. Nobody likes talking about loans and debt and stuff like that. Share yourself, be authentic, share who you are. If you're a gym person, if you're a runner, if you're into biking, if you're into gaming, whatever it is, share who you are and let people get to know you, because when they get to know you, they're going to trust you, whether if they've ever met you in person or not. I can say, I can't put an exact number on it, but I can say I probably closed over 50 loans in my since having Facebook and since being in the mortgage industry, from people I've never truly met through social media. Like, hey, I follow
Wow.
you on social, really, love what you and your wife do. Your family's so adorable. By the way, my husband and I are looking to get pre-qualified for home. Would you be willing to help us? Like, wow, yeah, right. And so just be relatable, share things that are who you are. What I tell people is if you every 10 posts, you probably only need to share two, maybe three things about mortgage.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask for the business every time if everybody knows what you do. So I think that's really important. I don't like being sold. I'm not a salesman. If you put me back in the 70s and I was selling those ugly red metal vacuums that weighed 200 pounds at what, the
Those
Kirby's or whatever they
Kirby's.
were, if I had to go door to door sell Kirby's, I would have starved. I'm just not that
I
guy.
don't think anyone would tell you no. If they saw you, they would just give you money to get off their porch.
You want this
I ain't
vacuum
calling the
cleaner?
cops on you because you're bigger than the cops. Like, here's your money. We'll go ahead.
Just take the vacuum, take my money, just go. But no, that's just not who I am, man. I don't want to sell anyone. I want to bring value. And there's a
Yes.
really big difference between selling and bringing value. And I'll tell you, there's a couple of things like, I mean, I'm a believer, I'm a man of God. I also am a big believer in energy, and I'm a big believer in manifesting and
Yes.
how you start your day, the conversations you have with yourself, whether it's through, meditation, whether it's music off, driving to the gym, whatever it is, how you start your day is going to be how you end your day. So giving yourself positive affirmations, and I'm gonna help three people today. I'm gonna call three real estate agents I've never called before, and all three of them are probably gonna try and blow me off right away, but maybe I'll get the one. Maybe I'll get the one. And then it's that whole just one more. Tomorrow I'm going to do four. Next week I'm going to do seven. And you're just always pushing yourself to improve. And I think when you do that and you're giving off that energy of like, oh, it's okay. You can say no. That's no problem. I just wanted to share with you the opportunity of working with me because I'm not like every other mortgage broker. But, obviously you're too busy to find out. I wish you luck in 2024. I got other calls to make.
Yes.
It's okay. And so what I would say is be real, be authentic, be genuine. People know BS
Yes.
now. If you're not a real person on there, and you're doing is sharing how much you give to this organization or that organization, it's awesome stuff. I love that you do it, but don't do it for the affirmations. Do it because it's what your heart tells you to do and it's something that's important to you. Um, Other than that, have fun, be kind. Social media, social platforms their people have learned to be what we call keyboard warriors.
Yes.
Um, or they get on there and they bash this lender or they bash that company or they bash that person, and there's just no place for that. And I talked about earlier, I said something about being an alpha. Um, I'm a big believer that when you are a confident human being and you are a bit of an alpha, I'm a bit of an alpha,
You bet.
you don't have to have ego. There's no ego with that. There's confidence
Yeah. Big
and
difference.
an unbreakable confidence. And there is a huge gap between ego and confidence. And when you have confidence, you can say whatever you want to me. You can call me this, you can call me that, because if you don't matter to me, I don't pay you any mind. I just, whatever.
Yes.
Um, I would say dandruff, but I haven't had dandruff in about 15 years or 20 years. So let's just maybe brush them off the shoulder. But if you hurt the feelings of somebody I care about in the circle, you're
Yeah,
going to
you're
see
screwed.
you're going to see a different version, and it's not going to be one that you love. And so, be nice, be caring, try to bring value. And if you do those things and you're consistent with it, and you're not trying to sprint to the finish line, but you realize this takes time and it's a marathon mindset, you do those things, you reap the benefits. You'll reap the fruits of your labors, but you got to do it now. Right now in our industry, we have about a 3 to 4 month window of really being able to bring a lot of value to people, because in a year or two, the conversations of, man, I wish I would have bought a home in early 24 when, I thought rates were high. I was waiting for rates to come down, and then I got completely priced out of the home because the houses I
Yes.
was looking at were going for 40,000 over asking. We have a very small window of that.
Yes.
That window could be 5 weeks, that window could be 3 months, but it's going to be a short window. And
Yeah.
it's going to be the people like myself who were touched, given, something resonated with me that, hey, we're going to buy a house. We bought our house in September 2020, right? At the kind of the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting on almost $400,000 of equity, just because I bought in the right area at the right time and rates were low. I got a fantastic interest rate. I'm never selling this house. People that are buying houses between December, a month and a half ago, and probably March or April, those are going to be people that have a story to tell. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to miss that opportunity and be really bummed out when they do. And so if you can start sharing those of bringing value, not scaring people into it, but bringing value, like, this is really good time. People don't miss this opportunity. Here's why. And you can put the numbers onto paper or onto a dry erase board or
Yes.
whatever. Do those things, bring the value, do it with your heart, care, be relatable. You're going to do well.
No, that's what I love about, talk about in the title of, this podcast is leverage to build wealth, right? Just for some simple concepts, right? So you put 5% down, right? You're not earning, say your area is 10% appreciation, whatever. You're not earning 10% on the 5 grand. You're earning 10% on the whole purchase, or 5%. You're owning the whole. So you're leveraging the whole asset
Yeah.
with your small capital injection there, and so I love that concept, that you brought there. So like, hey, it's acting, it's not fear-based decisions. It's like, you know what, this is what we need to do. And hyperinflation, and here's a topic I'm going to be talking about at some point soon, is of what's worse than fear of missing out. It's fear of missing out again.
Yeah.
you know
Yes.
uh my strength truly is behavioral finance, not technical finance. Technical finance is, don't get me wrong, I'm CMA certified. I love MBS highway. I watch it religiously. I love it. But people don't make a lot of decisions just on the technicals. It's the behavioral finance, right?
Yes.
And
100%.
fear of missing out is real. But fear of missing out again when they've already felt the pain of missing out and is amplified so much more. And you cannot fight the law of supply and demand. And
Cannot.
what's coming around the corner, like all these people waiting in the corner for rates to drop. I'm like, do you think you're alone there? It's like, come
Right.
on now. This, I'd much rather buy something with a higher interest rate and refinance it down the road, whenever it does adjust, than buy over asking price with a lower rate. It doesn't work out. The math does not wash out right, and you
100%.
understand that. Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you definitely believe in the law of abundance as well. And
Yes.
I definitely do. And even though we're technically competitors, I mean, I'm licensed in Arizona as well. I definitely want to make sure that, people who want to connect with you. Please tell whoever is watching this, if they want to reach out to you direct, how do they get a hold of you so you can take excellent care of them as you always do?
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, like, I look at you as a colleague, not a competitor. And I look at most of my friends in the industry as colleagues.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's cliche, and you hear it all the time. My only competition is that guy in the mirror. Like, if you do well, if I do 50 million production share, which is a great year, and you do 65, I'm standing cheering for you, bro, because I know you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it from your
Likewise.
heart. I have friends that have different you know, logos on their buildings, on their shirts,
Yes.
very competitive companies with ours. And when they win, I'm
Yes.
happy, great man. Get a hold of me. You're gonna love my webpage. It's loansonly.net. That's my website. So
What?
loansonly.net.
Okay.
Right? Why not? And my cell phone is 360-936-9845.
One more
And then
time
I
on that phone number.
360-936-9845. Keeping my Washington number because I had it since I was, gosh, like
Yeah.
in my early 20s, many years ago. And then, but yeah, onlyloans.net. You can get a hold of us on there. My email's on there, kind of some of our programs and our cool things are on there. And then, but yeah, I love to chat. If you need anything, even if you're in with another lender and you just want a second set of eyes to make sure you're getting well taken care of, something's not getting slipped through the cracks, happy to help you.
I'm a big believer in that, my friend, and I'm very grateful for you being a special guest on my up and coming podcast. And I do definitely hope this blows up so I can help as many people as I can. And having wonderful friends, and I consider you definitely a great new friend, a whole lot more now than just a fun Facebook friend and a colleague. Uh, uh, this has resonated so well with me. I do consider you much a wonderful new friend,
You
and
as
I'm
well. Thank you for
excited how
having me.
life is going to play out for us. I really am. And thanks again. Please reach out to Brian for any of your kind of needs. He is excellent. You will definitely be well taken care of. And I wish everyone a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Tom. Appreciate you.